Overlook Bay 2 is coming out very soon, and the hype following this game is like no other game on the platform. But before we talk about all the leaks, news, and the release date of Overlook Bay 2, first, let's go over how we got here. Overlook Bay was released in beta on July 27th, 2020, and was very successful very quickly. Overlook Bay flourished through beta and eventually was released to public a few weeks later. The beta access was available for a while and costed Robux, which meant it was a significantly smaller crowd playing the game. And the first few weeks of the game after beta and during public, the first few weeks of the game had some pretty good updates, which included a small but understandable dig site event where all players could get a dinosaur pet. The team had plans to release a full dinosaur set, like a special pet pod full of dinosaurs, but at the time, Adopt.me had just released their dinosaur event, which was a good reason Overlook Bay delayed this, and they ended up releasing a cute little dig site update. It was a pretty good update. Other small updates that had a good purpose, that were not too big, but still very significant, were the addition of shiny pets and rainbow shiny pets. However, even though this was not the greatest time for updates ever, we just had to wait a few more weeks to the first major event of the year. That was Halloween. On October 9th, 2020, Overlook Bay released their Halloween update, which was so awesome. They had been teasing this update for months, and this was everything a gamer could want in an update. I was thinking the update would be similar style to Adopt.me's Halloween update, but boy was I wrong. The update introduced two new currencies into the game, which were souls and candy. Candy was gained by trick-or-treating around the neighborhood in Overlook Bay. Just the trick-or-treating alone was a feature not perfected by any Roblox game before. It was so much fun. It was a good way to run around the map, get currency, and we could even spend it on a cute little sweet tooth pet. The other currency, the souls, was cool as well. Souls were gained by participating in quests, activities, and were gained by mining crystals in the Craze Caverns, which such became a fan favorite so fast that it was kept as the mines in-game permanently after the Halloween update left. Finally, my favorite way to get souls in Overlook Bay was by running around the streets of Overlook Bay and zapping ghosts with your very own ghost cannon. With the soul currency gained, players were able to buy the new Halloween pet pods, which had 11 different pets in it, or players could spend their souls on 3 pets, which look really spooky, or they could spend it on 3 spooky cars as well. The best part about this update was the way that Wonderworks Studio put all fans together and made a special event which all players could donate souls to increase the amount of rewards that all players get at the end of the event. Now this was such a great idea, and the grand prize was, if everyone donated enough souls, then the Halloween pet pods would stay in game for extra 2 weeks, which in fact did happen. And you can buy the pet pods with normal gems, which was the regular Overlook Bay currency. Now, after the update, a few new pets, vehicle crates, and other small updates were made, leading up to a great holiday update. To be completely honest, there's not much left online about what happened before the holiday update. 2020 is just kind of gone, and you just can't really find anything about it at all. But anyways, the Christmas update finally came out. Basically, this is what it was. The Christmas update consisted of the prettiest Christmas village, which was called the North Pole. Now, to get to the North Pole, players had to go to the Overlook Station, which was a train station, and players took the train from the main Overlook Bay Island to the North Pole. The North Pole village was many buildings shadowing Santa's workshop, which was on top of the hill. Inside of Santa's workshop, players were able to play 3 mini-games to earn the cookie currency: gift wrapping, toy making, and cookie baking. The other main way to get cookie currency was to go to elves' houses around the village and sing Christmas carols to the elves. Additionally, there was a prize wheel to spin every 15 minutes to get some super sweet rewards. Also, when logging in every day, players were greeted with the advent calendar with more rewards until the calendar ultimately broke and Wonderworks Studio deleted it. And finally, there were 2 new shops in the town to spend your cookie currency on. Elf Go Zoom, which had cool Christmas-themed cars to buy. The other shop was the gift shop. The gift shop had individual plushies for sale, toys, a car, snowball launcher, and most importantly, holiday vehicle crates and holiday pet pods. The vehicle crates contained 16 unique holiday vehicles, and the pet pods consisted of 14 cute little Christmas pets. And some of the vehicles in the vehicle crates ended up being so rare that I never even finished the collection. I have every pet in the game, every car, everything except just a few of these random vehicles because they were so rare. Overall, the Christmas Village update was by far the best update Overlook Bay ever had. To many players like myself, this update was a glimpse of what the future could hold with Overlook Bay. Remember, this was only around the second update in Overlook Bay history, like the second major update, and it was so good. Players just couldn't wait for the next year. And speaking of the next year, when the holiday update left, another small event took over, the New Year's update. This update had a few little stands outside of the pet shop, which sold some vehicles, items, a firework cannon, and 2 pets. And this also brought a wishing well pet as well. The best pet of the update being the Celebration Dragon. The Celebration Dragon was the first mythic pet in Overlook Bay history. It was revealed that mythic pets can give special abilities. This pet's ability was to provide luck. And the pet would give stronger luck depending on if the pet was normal, shiny, or rainbow shiny for maximum luckiness. So, to make the rainbow shiny Celebration Dragon, you need close to 4,000 Robux, which was kind of equivalent to about $50 worth of Robux. Yeah, pretty expensive for one pet, or technically 4. But anyways, a lot of players did not like this at all, and this is when a lot of players left the game. Hate to say it, but it was such a good game, but a lot of players did leave because there wasn't really any way to get this pet besides buying it with Robux or trying to trade for it. But it was nearly impossible to trade for it because it was worth so much. Now, the next update was kind of good, but also kind of bad. The middle of January update was a revamp to the pet shop. The pet shop got a major uplift and brought new things to do to it also. This included a bowling alley, a few new rooms, the new paw badges wheel, and a new machine. The machine is what the people did not like. This machine let players delete their pets and turn their pets into paw badges, which almost 100% of the time will give players 50 gems. Not good. With many of the player base being kids, everyone was entirely confused, even my 15-year-old self. You can see where this is pretty much going, but players put in their best pets, and they got some special paw badges out of it, and spent it on the new paw badge wheel. Pretty much got 50 gems every single time. Some players even spent the brand new Celebration Dragons, which they spent $50 on or less if it wasn't a rainbow shiny. But this feature to delete pets is not really common in pet games. The whole point of pet games is to collect pets, keep going with their inventory and collecting all of the pets. And this kind of defeated the purpose, to be honest. Deleting pets? Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't the greatest update in the world. But anyway, let's move on. This did turn around fast because a few days later, on February 12th, 2021, the Valentine's Day update came out for Overlook Bay. This marked the third major festival for Overlook Bay because I would consider the New Year's update kind of small. But anyways, this update was the opposite of small. This update was everything in the right direction. Definitely the opposite of the last update. 43 new items were added for the Valentine's update, and none of them cost Robux. Wonderworks Studio listened to the community about the crazy price of the Celebration Dragon, and they listened. So they added a new mythic pet, the Ladybug, which gave the harvest ability, which meant that when harvesting trees, the trees dropped more fruit, which made getting gems way easier. This update was very simple too, with the main currency of the bet being normal gems. They also introduced targets around the map to shoot with Cupid's bow and arrow to get more gems. What players liked and disliked about this update was that it was a gacha mechanic where we had to spend 500 gems on, we'll call it a wish, and we get a special reward. Personally, I love this because it's way better than just buying pet pods from a pet pod machine like it's been in the past. This was also great because not all wishes were pet pods. In fact, we only had a 55% chance to get a Valentine's Day pet pod. And we got other items too, like cars, tools, and all kinds of other random things. The pro to this update was that it was luck-based, and the con was that it was luck-based. Yeah, players like me who wished thousands of times and had their inventory filled with random junk was kind of annoying, and we got very few pets. The update was unique. The pets were great. The fact that the mythic pet was buyable with gems and that was not in the Cupid's Fountain was absolutely great. Such a good update. 9 out of 10 probably. Now, over the next few weeks following the update, Wonderworks Studio leaked that they were adding a job into Overlook Bay. This job was to make coffee at a coffee shop, which made people so hyped. Players thought it would be released on February 19th, but when February 19th came along, Wonderworks Studio added a 1-week countdown timer for the following Friday, February 26th. But when the timer was up, it was announced that the update would be delayed for March 5th, which was the following Friday. It's not too big of a deal, but then once March 5th came around, they pushed the update another day, and it came out on a Saturday. The jobs was glitched, super broken, which kind of sucked, but that's what happens with games sometimes. I mean, it's a studio, they're all humans, everyone makes mistakes. That's the way I see it. Anyways, the next update was on St. Patrick's Day 2021, where a new pet was added. This was the Clover Cow. The Clover Cow was a wishing well pet that was in-game for quite a while. This pet was great. It was just another wishing well pet, but still a great update. After this update, Wonderworks Studio went on a hot update streak. The next 2 weeks had updates, which was rare for 3 weeks in a row to have updates at this time being. The next week was a pet refresh, Robux pet refresh, which had already happened once. I did leave that out already because it's not really too important. Then out of the blue, Wonderworks Studio added a special Megan Plays birthday celebration, which was great. Players got a free hoverboard and got to wish Megan Plays a very happy birthday. So that means in 10 days, we got 3 updates. And following this, the next update was the Easter update. Oh my goodness, it was so awesome. My favorite part of this update was the egg hunt. The egg hunt is a fun in a unique way. 15 eggs were scattered around the map, and every 24 hours they respawned, and players had to try and find 15 per day. Instead of a gym reward, Wonderworks Studio added an egg hunt pass. Basically, the more eggs players found, the cooler rewards that were given. This really benefited players that were determined to play the game every day, and this was such a great feature because all those long-term players like myself who were dedicated to the game can show that we were dedicated to the game by collecting all 15 eggs every day. Also, the fact that all the 15 eggs spawned in 44 different locations was perfect. Every day felt like a new journey, and we had something to play for. Back to the Easter update area, it was set up where the soccer field is next to the Overlook School. The event had the Easter Bunny with his basket set up in the middle, surrounded by booths to buy stuff. The Bunny's basket, which is what it was called, was the same mechanic from the Valentine's update. We pay 500 gems and we have a chance of getting an Easter pet pod, but also a chance at getting some other random stuff. Looking back at it now, I didn't notice how Wonderworks Studio reused some of the same mechanics, like how this update had that same machine mechanic where you pay money, and also how knocking on people's doors and either trick-or-treating and singing Christmas carols is pretty much the same as well. But anyways, this update was a solid 9.5 out of 10 for me. The pets in this update were great. The pet pods were cute. I just fell in love with the pets in this update, like the gummy worm, the blue bunny, the pastel teddies, and just to name a few others, I love them. By far the best pets from any update in Overlook Bay history was this update. Like, the pets were really spot on. It was awesome. After the third part of the update, because this update was in 3 parts, on April 4th, 2021, the update left a week later. Now, on April 16th, the painted giraffe was added to the wishing well, which is cute. That's about it. The following week, on April 29th, Overlook Bay had a Metaverse Champions update with a very easy quest, the Astro Kitty. The quest was to adopt a cat and raise it to full grown to keep the pet. Now, to raise the pet, it took like 3 to 5 tasks, which took like 5 minutes. It was a very fast event, but the point was to get more players into Overlook Bay. Hopping into May 2021, just a few weeks later, Overlook Bay added 8 new pets to the normal pet pods. Then on May 14th, Molten Mines was released. Molten Mines, this is probably the first controversial update ever. Molten Mines was actually kind of interesting. Molten Mines was accessed by players with mining level 50 and up, which usually 1 to 3 people in every full server, which is about 30 people, had level 50 or higher. So this pretty much made it exclusive to the in-game players who spent hours and hours and hours mining. Oh, yeah, and the Molten Mines, when you went in there, they had special gyms, special pets, and special things in there. But the gyms sold for a lot more gems, which made the rich people who are already rich at the games, all the pro players, more rich. And then they got the special new pets, which they can trade for a lot, and that made the poor people poorer. So this basically focused on bringing new content to the top 10% of players, probably even less than 10% of players. But this did work out in the long run because players had something to work to. I thought it was a great update. I had access to the mines when it came out. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I absolutely loved it. Following the May 14th update, there was no update until June 4th because the team was working on the greatest update ever. In the meantime, on June 4th, Wonderworks Studio released the Pride Month update, which basically was a small stand in the middle with the free Pride flag for all players and a 100 Robux bicycle where all proceeds would go to the Trevor Project. This was a great update in itself. The fact that they were celebrating Pride was perfect for the community, and I'm so glad that they did this. Next, on June 11th, the best update in Overlook Bay history came out. Arcadia Isle. 2 words. That's it. Game over. Video over. Just kidding. Well, I could end it there. But anyways, Arcadia Isle is a summer island that stayed in game permanently. Arcadia Isle was an island with a giant volcano on its southern corner, and there was also a pier on it with a carnival on its east coast. Nice vacation homes were spread around the island, and in addition, there was a submarine which would take you to Arcadia Depths, which had great undersea awesome. Basically, it was like a deep sea area where we go deep under the ocean, and we find a whole bunch of cool things. In Arcadia Depths, there's an underwater pet shop, which has its own ocean pets. Back on the island, though, players could find buried treasure, and the buried treasure was used by getting these metal detectors, and the buried treasure refreshed every 24 hours. This was like another daily task / motive for people to log on and play every day and just do the awesome little finding treasure. It was so awesome. And then this was extra special because players can exchange those treasures for doubloons. Now, doubloons were used to exchange for various rewards and items in the shop on the northmost corner of Arcadia Isle. The ultimate reward being the treasure chest seeds, which can grow in the treasure chest trees. Seeds, trees, oh my gosh. And this treasure chest tree was the most valuable fruit ever. It sold for the most gems, and it was so important that people got it. Oh yeah, also a mythical mermaid was released. This was a 3rd mythic pet in the game. It is also released with gems, which is awesome. The point of this pet was to give players extra fish on all of their casts. This mythic pet was awesome. It was everything anyone could ask for. A mermaid, an ocean update, that's awesome. I could talk about Arcadia Isle all day if I wanted to, but I have to move on. This is probably one of the only Overlook Bay 10 out of 10 updates, but let's sadly move on. Throughout the entire history of Overlook Bay, every update had at least one thing that fans didn't like I've mentioned before, like the reusing of things, Robux pet refreshes, super expensive Robux pets, other stuff like that, and delays. So to make the long story short, Wonderworks Studio created Overlook Bay plushies and toys that Overlook Bay fans can buy in real life. I bought one of everything, so I can definitely relate. It was very expensive. I think the cheapest thing was a coloring book for $16.99. It was a good coloring book, though. I do have to say that. And the plushies I still have to this day. They're so cute. Nothing was wrong with that they released these products at all. Other studios do it all the time. Big Game Studio does it pretty much every week. But anyways, all of these purchases came with a special pet, or technically a code, which you can redeem for a special pet, the Galactic Lion. This made the Galactic Lion instantly one of the top 5 rarest pets in the game. Probably was number 1 for a little bit when it first came out as well. The problem that people had with this is just to get a pet, they had to spend like $20 because of shipping and other random taxes and fees. We had to spend at least $20 on a random website just to get a pet and some in real life merch. Now, as a kid back then, my parents didn't really want to buy it for me. I was a kid. I didn't really have much money. Some parents have no problem spending money on Robux for their kids because they know Roblox is a safe site and they can spend that Robux in any game in all of Roblox. But this was not a fan favorite for sure. Almost no one had this pet, and because of that, it was so exclusive to only people who are super dedicated to the game. But anyway, let's move on. Back to a better note, on July 27th, Overlook Bay released the first birthday event. Yes, it had been 1 year since Overlook Bay released their birthday event. The event was actually pretty sick. So many things. It was just like an entire party. I guess I could describe it that way. The way to get most of the items in this update were gift boxes. These boxes costed 750 gems, gave one of 2 pets, or a plush, or a car, or tools. The update was great. It also had a cute Honey the Unicorn pet for 895 Robux, and a birthday tank for 727 Robux, which is the date for 7/27, aka July 27th. It was awesome. That birthday tank also shot cake at people and yeeted them around the map, which is great to troll people. After this awesome birthday celebration, Wonderworks Studio released Dev Pals, which was a special pet pod for all of the developers working on Wonderworks Studio. I've never seen any studio do anything like this for their employees, so absolute W update. It was so awesome. Next, on August 13th, Overlook Bay released the Extinction event, which is pretty much exactly a year after they wanted to release it for the first time. The Extinction event came with a new building, the museum, which is kind of weird for me to point out a new building, but that's because it was very special to me. I made several videos, probably about 200 videos about Overlook Bay, and had a whole series about ideas for Overlook Bay. And on the thumbnail was a museum, and I talked mostly about it in my video, along with some pet concepts by Porch Plays, which Porch Plays, if you're still out there, I still love your concepts to this day. They were so awesome. But anyways, the museum appeared in Overlook Bay about a month after my video. Oh my gosh, I was so happy about it. If Overlook Bay added it because of me, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. I'm sure that they didn't. Maybe someone saw my YouTube thumbnail and even if they didn't watch it, took inspiration from it, which I would love as well. That museum was great, so I was so excited that the museum was in game. But anyway, it was an Extinction event, not only a museum. And the Extinction event came with a pet pod with 11 dinosaurs to collect. Then it seemed like Wonderworks Studio took a short break from Overlook Bay after that, when their new game Timmy was released, which was a collab with Creekcraft. The next game came out, and an entire month later on September 17th, besides for a new Wishing Well pet, the next update came out, which consisted of a new fall map, another Robux pet refresh, the removal of the post office in the Pizza Place, and, wait, Removal of post office at pizza place? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. The post office was a way to mail your friends items and pets. This was a great way, a contactless way to give your pets or any item to a person that you want to give items to. But somehow there was a glitch to where people could duplicate pets or something. I don't know. I don't really understand stuff like that, but it did happen. So the post office was removed, and with it, because it was right behind it, the pizza place was also removed, which kind of sucked, and they replaced it with Melody Point, which is a music venue where the musician Poppy performed in it later on. 2021 was definitely the highlight Overlook Bay, and it was a great game still, but so much had happened. And everything pretty much changed on September 22nd when Wonderworks Studio teased that they're gonna make Overlook Bay 2. Then again on October 1st, they had more tea about Overlook Bay 2. And October 1st, that's usually when you should hear about some Halloween news. And it wasn't until October 15th when Wonderworks Studio revealed to us that the Halloween update they had planned was being cut down a lot smaller. On screen, I'll show you kind of what they planned for us to do. And at the end, it was so small that it was just like 2 pets, brought back the ghost hunting and a new wishing well pet and a few other random things to buy. Now this is fine because they did say they were spending the time making Overlook Bay 2. To be honest, no one really wanted Overlook Bay 2 at the time, but it is what it is. Over the next month, November came and gone, and there wasn't an update because the team was working hardly on Overlook Bay 2. Then there was a whole bunch of leaks to the community about the new Overlook Bay game, and they said that the release date was set for December 9th, and they would change the name of the game to Overlook RP instead of Overlook Bay 2. And they revealed that the holiday update will release on December 14th, which is 5 days later, and then just a few days after all that was said, they pushed the game release date back to December 14th and then the holiday update on December 16th. As promised, on December 14th, Wonderworks Studio went down while the developers worked on the game. This time period was called the dark mode because players were not able to play the game for a few days. Then, on December 17th, Overlook Bay had released, the holiday update came with it, and there was a whole new game. It was Overlook Bay, the start of Overlook Bay all over again. Overlook RP came out, and it was great. Kind of. Let's explain. So the holiday update consisted of a new holiday pet pod with many pets, and additionally, there was a new mythic pet for 1,250 Robux. Yeah, this is the most expensive Robux pet yet in the game. Just when we thought that the game was kind of falling, oh my gosh, 1,250 Robux per mythic pet to make it rainbow shiny. That's a fortune, my goodness. The problem with this update was everything costed the new gem currency, which I think is called like emeralds or something. I don't know. So we're just going to stick with gems. But anyways, because it was a new game, everything was nerfed. All the gem methods were nerfed because it was way too easy to get gems in Overlook Bay. And there was not really any good ways to get gems in the game. So everyone really, really struggled at this time to get gems. So yeah, that's kind of where this update was. And the next update was the Junkyard update. Remember a while back when I mentioned that they added a machine where players can scrap old pets? Yeah, I thought it was the worst idea in the world and everyone hated it. There's so much feedback that everyone hated it. Well, they did this again, but with cars. Moving on from that, the update was good. The building that it came with was cool. There was a new wheel, and I did have so many cars as well that I could scrap a few of them and try to spin the wheel to get 50 gems. But anyway, the next update was pretty great. Kind of. So this next update had 3 game passes. The VIP chest, which is actually not a game pass, but for VIP, they added a chest. And to get VIP, it cost Robux. There was also the Mayor Game Pass, which controlled the weather. And you had to have that Game Pass. So, not really anything free-to-play players could do, but experience the weather that the mayor decided on. But opposite, the next update was really good. The Valentine's Day update made it to Overlook RP. This was the first event to now have 2 large-size updates, one in Overlook Bay and one in Overlook RP. This update featured the candy currency and was gained by returning and shooting heart targets around the map, and players shoot them down with a bow and arrow. This candy currency was spent on one of 2 things, besides from the random little stalls like there always are. These 2 ways were buying the Valentine's Pet Pods or crushing your candy at the Candy Crusher machine. Both options were great. The Pet Pod contained 9 super cute little pets that you really can't go wrong with any of them. The Candy Crusher mainly gave collectibles, tools, but had a very small chance at getting the brand new mythic candied Pegasus pet. This was kind of a rare mythic pet to get. You had to spin and spin and spin forever. I think there was a 1.5% chance or maybe 1% chance. I don't know. All I know is it was very hard for me to get them, but I crushed candy in the machine like more than 1,000 times. And I even did a live stream, my very first live stream. It was so much fun, to be honest. I met some of y'all, and it was awesome. And the map looked great, the trees, the sky, the water, and the entire map looked like what you can picture as a Valentine's Day wonderland. After a few of 10 out of 10 updates in Overlook RP history, because the first 10 out of 10 update was in Overlook Bay, now this one was in Overlook RP, this update was great. But there was a short break in between major updates, which gave some time for players to create more concepts for what could be coming for the Easter update. And that is where Porch Plays comes in and other wonderful artists. I was always close to Porch Plays. He was an awesome artist who made great concepts. I featured his artwork in many of my videos. And, luckily for him, one of his pet concepts made it into game. This was called the Chick Stack. It was the new Wishing Well pet for the upcoming 2022 Easter update. But before that update was released, Wonderworks Studio had a small surprise update for us. On St. Patrick's Day 2022, Wonderworks Studio added a new Wishing Well pet, the Shamrock Unicorn. This Shamrock Unicorn was only in game for 48 hours, through the Wishing Well, which gave players the exciting goal of getting this pet, but was ultimately the hardest Wishing Well pet to ever obtain in Overlook history. So next was the Easter event, which brought back the most loved Easter egg hunt. Now this was different because the spots were different than last year. Last year was in Overlook Bay, now it's in Overlook RP. So there's new hiding spots. This update brought the best minigame of all time. The minigame was a cool go-kart racing minigame where players raced around the map and tried to beat each other, which we were to race 2 laps around Overlook RP before anyone else. This minigame was so special because players got to race around the map and compete against their friends. This game was perfect for exploring the map and having fun, while also being rewarded with the new currency. And the new currency was carrot currency, which we could spin on the new pet pods. In my opinion, there were not too many items to buy with the carrot currency, and it was way too easy to get. I remember when the update ended, I collected over 500 of the Easter pet pods. The only other thing worth commenting about this update was the Spring Griffin. Oh gosh, Spring Griffin was the newest mythic pet. Oh, to be honest, I thought it was one of the ugliest pets in the... Oh wait, actually, I don't think this was a mythic pet. This was a special pet, which was like the first pet like this in the game. If you made it shiny, you could ride it, and if you made it rainbow shiny, it would be flyable. Yeah, it was pretty grindy feeling, but I don't know. To be honest, I didn't like it. Now, the Easter egg hunt was bigger and better than last year. There were 50 eggs to collect every day, and there was also an egg hunt pass, which gave you a whole bunch of different rewards, which is great. The pass is pretty much the same as like the other holidays, so it felt kind of repetitive in a way. But if I were to rate this update out of 10, it'd be kind of hard because it had the best minigame in Overlook history. The economy was broken, leading to all the pets not being worth anything. Spring Griffin wasn't really worth collecting. Wasn't the best pet. I don't think I even made it shiny or rainbow shiny at all. I think this update is a 5 out of 10, maybe 4.5 out of 10. This is the only update in Overlook Bay history where I rate lower than a 7, maybe an 8. Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like this update, to be honest. But to stay positive, a few days after the event on May 3rd, the game continued to fall down a much deeper hole. Wonderworks Studio hired a community manager, which is usually a good thing, but in this case, the manager gave away so many old pets, and just pets in general, even like the Rainbow Rider, and even gave away so many of a certain pet. I'm still trying to recall which pet it was, but the value of that pet declined so much. This made players who spent years trying to get the best pets quit, because noobs were getting these handouts, is what people would call it, which is understandable. But this wasn't even the worst part. Somewhere down the road, too, he banned all people on the Wonderworks Studio Discord server after Overlook Bay would not be updated again. He banned all of them who said anything about Overlook Bay. This was like in the era when they made the basketball simulator minigame and just focused on a whole bunch of random games and just kind of gave up on Overlook Bay. Don't really know why this happened, but that is what happened. But this isn't where the whole thing started, where players were kind of mad. Before the game was even released into beta, the team promised that it would be released on a certain day, but was delayed by a few days already, before the game had even come out. And delaying updates happened about 5 times at least. It got pretty annoying, and also promises that Wonderworks Studio made never came true, and Halloween 2021 was a prime example. But anyways, the team even showed us like things that we could have got that we didn't. I don't know. And they also took away Arcadia Isle when they turned it into Overlook RP. And just more things like this happened that kind of made the community mad. And more players would quit the game until the Easter update, when very few people played the game at all. I remember a time when Overlook Bay was played by Flamingo and Jeremy and had all these crazy Star Creator YouTubers around it. It had 100,000 players online at once, kind of like how Adopt Me does now, or Brookhaven, or any of those good games. It was one of the top dogs on Roblox. Everyone played it, everyone heard of it, but towards the end, it's probably less than 1,000 players playing at once. Don't get me wrong, the game was still great. It was my favorite game I'd ever played, shaped part of my childhood, shaped my COVID years, and it was great. It was a great game. I remember logging on the Zoom calls for school, and then kind of playing Overlook Bay in the background. I know that sounds bad, but that's how much I loved Overlook Bay so much. And speaking of the future and the past, the game was great, my favorite game, and I really look forward to the future of the game still. Speaking of the future, right after the community manager thing, the whole situation, which I talked about a minute ago, on June 2nd, 2022, which was exactly a month after they hired the community manager, Wonderworks Studio announced that they were going to discontinue both Overlook games after this one more update. Many players saw this coming because of the lack of promises, game-breaking glitches, delays, but the bright side was players still had to look forward to one more update before Overlook history is gone. And this is why I made this video, because I wanted to show everyone the history of Overlook Bay leading up to Overlook Bay 2, which I still haven't got to talk about. Then on August 12th, 2022, which was pretty much a month after they said that, and 2 months after the last major update, the Easter update, Wonderworks Studio released Overlook Bay. Again, remember, there was Overlook RP. No, first there was Overlook Bay, then they changed it into Overlook RP, And now they brought back Overlook Bay as a separate experience as well. Players were beyond happy about them bringing back Overlook Bay. But then they told us that players' inventories wouldn't be current. Instead, the inventory would be what you had in Overlook Bay before the change to Overlook RP existed. So that means that the 8 months that Overlook Bay turned into Overlook RP, nothing would be saved. Jeez. So, to counter this, Wonderworks Studios said that both Overlook Bay and Overlook RP would be playable on 2 separate experiences. This was definitely the way to go out in fashion. Both Overlook games on Roblox at the same time was the right things to do. Players can choose whichever one they like the most and whichever one made them more happy. This marks the end of Overlook Bay and Overlook RP, which would never be updating again, besides for like one update where they added 2 pets, but that doesn't really count after. So as the sun sets for Overlook Bay and Overlook RP, we are glad that both Overlook Bay games are playable again, but we are sad that our favorite game is not being updated again. As most players thought they were in total darkness, Wonderworks Studio put out a poll on their Twitter asking players if they wanted to Overlook Bay 2. And the results were a lot closer than I thought. 58% of people said yes, and 42% of people said no. Then on December 7th, a few days later, Wonderworks Zach, which is the owner of Overlook Bay, Megan Play's husband, also the owner and creator of the games, he said that they have been working on Overlook Bay 2 for a while and would be coming out within a year. Skip to a year later, we are in July 2023 now. It has been 7 months since Overlook Bay 2 has been confirmed, and we do have a release date time of when the game will come out. The game will come out this summer. The game has put tons and tons of leaks on the game, and so many features are coming to the game. If you want to find out about all Overlook Bay 2, tune into my next video where I will be telling you guys everything you need to know about Overlook Bay 2. I'm so excited to make that video, and I'm so beyond excited about Overlook Bay 2. Now, many players are uncertain if they can trust Wonderworks Studio can change and create updates on a timely basis, and just pretty much an entirely new game to start off with. But only time will tell. And we'll see what happens. Based on the leaks of the game so far, it looks a lot more detailed than any other game I have personally seen before. It has so many new adventures waiting to come, so many new features, and we all look forward to this. To say the least, I'm beyond excited to play it this summer. We are witnessing the 3rd book of Overlook Bay, which is about to continue. But history of the first 2 books, which is the first 2 games, has closed. So that means history class is dismissed. I want to end the video by saying that I have no means to hurt anyone's feelings by making this video. I'm simply providing a brief history video about Overlook Bay. I did my best to stay as positive as I could, but just like history is more like a roller coaster. There are ups, there are downs, things happen, and all we can do is forgive, look forward to the future, and I'm beyond excited for Overlook Bay 2. I will continue to support Wonderworks Studio Overlook Bay. I will play Overlook Bay 2 this summer. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to meeting you all in Overlook Bay 2.